Joe's purpose has always driven him forward. His strength of will is unstoppable, and his faith is unshakable. Because it's not in politicians or political parties or even in himself. It's in the providence of God.
Jill Biden makes the plea for her husband to become the next president commander-in-chief. We've assembled a special panel to discuss all things DNC. Democratic strategist Kelly Hyman, Sinclair Political Commentator Ameshia Cross, University of Maryland lecturer Dr. Jason Nichols, and member of the President's National Security Education Board, host of America First on Salem Radio, Sinclair Media contributor Sebastian Gorka. Let's go around the horn clockwise, starting with the 1 o'clock position. Ameshia Cross, tell me, is this about Joe Biden the man or Joe Biden the policy? Let's talk a little bit about Joe Biden makes a compelling case for Joe Biden the man.
We got to see a little bit of both. I think that day one of the DNC was very different from day two. On day two, last night, what we saw was a lot of more of Joe Biden's story, more of his background, more of an understanding of the empathy it takes to lead this nation, more of an understanding of the types of relationships he's built across the aisle, and the type of man he would be in terms of the character and the moral fitness that it takes to succeed in the White House, but also to ensure that this nation is taking into consideration all of the different aspects of the glory that make America America, and that people aren't left out, that discrimination isn't happening, that we're not seeing all of the factions that we currently see, and that there isn't a multiple sides to this country where people feel as though America isn't working for them. I think that last night was a setup that helped to describe what a Joe Biden America would look like and the type of character and fitness that Joe Biden has that would make him be successful.
Sebastian, what about Joe Biden, the policy?
There is no Joe Biden policy. He's a cipher. He's an empty shell. This is a man who has just become a tool of the radicalized DNC. This is an individual who doesn't disagree with anything the squad or others who see themselves not as Democrats but socialists have recommended in the last 2 years. This is a man who says, I'm going to give amnesty to 11 million illegal aliens. This is an individual who says, you don't need private health care. Kamala was right. We're going to give taxpayer-funded health care to illegal immigrants, and you don't get to choose anymore. This man, Beijing Biden, is a disaster. He is a shell, and he's just the stalking horse for those who will really run the country if the Democrats win, and it will be the radical people who've taken over a party that Democrats have just lost. The Democrat Party left the Democrats, and it's a sad thing to witness.
Take a listen to Governor Cuomo at his speech, and remind folks that he's under his own scrutiny for the way he handled the coronavirus. Take a listen.
The failed federal government that watched New York get ambushed by their negligence and then watched New York suffer, but all through it learned absolutely nothing.
Jason, is this a bit hypocritical? I mean, Cuomo himself failed the New York people.
Well, I think that Andrew Cuomo certainly failed the New York people early on. But the thing is that he actually learned a lesson. And I think that's the point that he's trying to drive home. Right now, less than 1% of their coronavirus tests come back positive. They do more testing than any other state in the nation. They implemented the 14-day traveler quarantine. And all of those things have actually worked for the state. Yet, when it comes to the federal government and when it comes to Donald Trump, we were still having the argument about masks. He was still trying to say that there was some sort of magical cure. He's still promoting fake science with these doctors who talk about demon sperm. So again, this is an issue where there were mistakes made in the early going, and it was costly. And I think Andrew Cuomo is rightly being criticized for that. But at the same time, he actually learned from the situation and grew from it, and is ready, for the second wave, if it were to ever come.
Kelly, I saw Bill Clinton on the stage there making his speech, not on the stage, doing his taped speech, but it kind of felt weird, awkward. Should he have been there?
Absolutely. He's a former president of the United States of America. I mean, what he did for our country and helped the American people, absolutely. He should definitely have been there.
Even given, just this week, there are some pictures released that one of Jeffrey Epstein's accusers, there are pictures of her massaging the back of the former president. I'm not sure the Me Too movement was thrilled that he was there.
Well, you look at Trump, photos of Trump with Jeffrey Epstein as well. And, you know, he called him a good friend.
Sebastian, what mistakes do you think the Democrats have made in their convention so far?
Inviting Bill Clinton, by the way, for your prior guest, a good friend, it was Donald Trump who kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his club when he heard what that man was being accused of doing. That's how much of a good friend they were. Bill Clinton is lecturing us on what should be done in the Oval Office when he turned it into a sex parlor. What an embarrassment for any Democrat.
Let me go to Jason. I only have about a minute or so, Jason. Very quickly, your thoughts on AOC nominating or seconding a nomination of Bernie Sanders, not Joe Biden. What were they thinking putting her on?
Well, I think it showed something good about AOC. It showed the fact that she is consistent in what she says and what she believes. I think it actually bodes well for her in the future. She's not somebody who goes with political wins or plays politics. She actually has convictions. And I think it was good for the Democrats to put her on. It shows the wide tent that there are people who are on the progressive left and people who are more in the center or even center or right of center like John Kasich. We're showing that the tent is actually growing for Democrats.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to keep this panel. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, the conversation continues with the group. Be right back.